All right, so this week's deep dive takes us to Heritage Ranch. And, we're thinking about maybe making a move there, right? Like, what's the vibe? Well, lucky for us, we've got a whole stack of Yelp reviews right here, just waiting to be unpacked.
Yeah, going straight to the source. I like it. Keep in mind, though, those reviews are just, individual snapshots. It's like we're peeking through the blinds into someone's very specific Heritage Ranch experience.
Okay, I get it. So, like, not every five-star rave is going to be our experience, right?
Exactly. Our job is to sift through and find those recurring themes, those things that go beyond one person's best place ever.
Right, because what one person calls peaceful, another one might call boring, right?
You got it.
Okay, so let's start with the good stuff.
Hmm.
All those glowing reviews that make Heritage Ranch sound like, well, paradise.
Well, they definitely push this idea of affordable living, right? And not just affordable living, but you're part of this vibrant community. The whole own the land thing comes up a lot, which is a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame financially.
Huge. It attracts a different kind of resident, too.
Getting
Folks
down.
looking to put down roots even if it's in an RV.
Right. It's their forever home on wheels.
Exactly.
And speaking of keeping busy, this place has amenities galore. Shuffleboard, a pool and spa, horseshoes. They even have a ballroom, for crying out loud. It's like a cruise ship parked in the California desert.
It's all about staying active, right? Appealing to those folks who want to be busy, socialize, really embrace that whole retirement lifestyle.
Yeah, fun in the sun, endless activities. But what about our furry friends? A few reviewers mentioned some pretty strict pet rules.
Yes, the pet policy. A tale as old as time in these communities. It makes you wonder, though. A pool and a ballroom are great, but if you can't even take your dog for a walk on the grass, is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Right. One reviewer was particularly annoyed about that whole grass situation. Apparently it's pavement or bust for walks, and even then they're supposed to stay off the sidewalks.
Interesting. It's tough to say without knowing the reasoning behind it. Could be about maintaining the landscaping, liability issues. Who knows? But it brings up a good point for you. How important is that to you?
For some people, that's a deal breaker right there.
Absolutely.
And speaking of potential deal breakers, a few reviewers hinted at some, let's call it active HOA involvement, like a whisper network running through the bingo hall.
Oh, the HOA. The backbone of any good community, right?
Right. But seriously, one reviewer even called them a hostile bunch of gossip mongers, which I gotta admit has me a little curious. I mean, the little HOA drama never hurt anyone, right? Okay, maybe it has, according to these reviews. One reviewer mentioned this community meeting where the board president allegedly yelled at some residents.
Oh, wow.
Like, can you imagine? You're just trying to enjoy your golden years and suddenly you're caught in a homeowners association showdown.
It does make you wonder about the overall atmosphere, right? Is it a place that welcomes open communication, different points of view? Or is it more, a we're in charge kind of vibe?
Right. Because strong leadership is one thing, but not if it means people are afraid to speak their minds. It makes you wonder what those residents were even bringing up. Were they raising legitimate concerns or just complaining about the color of the shuffleboard pucks?
Yeah, and how does the HOA handle these kinds of disagreements? Do they try to find common ground, compromise, or is it more of a my way or the highway situation?
Yeah, those are definitely things you'd want to know before you sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
You could have all the best amenities in the world, but if your neighbors are constantly in each other's throats, well, that kind of puts a damper on the whole paradise thing, doesn't it?
You said it. And it goes back to that idea of shared values. It's not just about the place itself, but the people, right? Do they share your priorities, your outlook on life?
And speaking of priorities, affordability seems to be a big selling point for Heritage Ranch. A lot of reviewers mentioned how inexpensive it is to live there, especially if you own your lot.
Right. That's a huge draw for a lot of retirees, folks on a fixed income. Owning your land combined with those low HOA fees means your money goes a lot further.
Yeah. One reviewer even called it an inexpensive way to live if you own your lot. Although they did add that it's important to remember those other expenses like utilities and property taxes.
Oh, for sure. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of affordable living and totally forget about those hidden costs.
Exactly. Make sure you're seeing the whole picture, not just a snapshot. Now, one thing that surprised me was that not all the reviews were from retirees. Some mentioned seeing a mix of RVs, everything from park models to motorhomes, even some fifth wheels.
Interesting. So maybe it's a more diverse crowd than you might expect.
Right. It's not just snowbirds and retirees. Sounds like there could be younger families, maybe even some digital nomads drawn in by the affordability and the sense of community.
It's possible. Which begs the question, how does that age and lifestyle mix play out in terms of community dynamics? Do those groups mingle, create that multi-generational vibe, or do they mostly stick to themselves?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's not one we can answer with just these Yelp reviews.
We've got these little glimpses into life at Heritage Ranch, the good, the bad, the HOA shenanigans, but it's impossible to really get the full picture without being there.
Speaking of getting the full picture, there's another little detail that popped up in the reviews. Residents being, well, pretty vocal about their opinions, like apparently bold statements displayed in windows and on golf carts aren't exactly uncommon. It's like bumper stickers, but, supersized. Part of me kind of admires their commitment to self-expression.
Right.
But then again, it does make you wonder, what exactly are they expressing?
The million-dollar question. And really, it just goes to show you can't beat actually visiting a place, Online reviews give you a taste, but being there, seeing those statements for yourself, chatting with the residents, that's how you get a feel for the vibe.
For sure. Because a friendly reminder about quiet hours is one thing, but a strongly worded opinion about, say, landscaping choices,
Yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame. It makes you wonder, is this a place that welcomes different opinions? Or is it more like you're either with them or against them?
Hard to say based on what we've got. But it does highlight the fact that Heritage Ranch, like any community, has its own, personality. What one person finds charming, another might find, a little much.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole deep dive so valuable. We're going beyond those brochures and online profiles and getting a much clearer picture of what it's like to actually live at Heritage Ranch.
We've seen the good, that sense of community, the affordability, tons to do, but we've also uncovered some potential downsides, like those pet policies, that hint of HOA drama, and of course the question of how well, those big personalities all mesh together on a day-to-day basis.
It's a mixed bag for sure. And it really just goes to show you there's no such thing as the perfect community. It's all about finding the right fit, right?
100%. So as you're doing your research, keep asking those questions. Don't just focus on the amenities or the price tag. Think about your values, your lifestyle, how much, shall we say, passionate self-expression you're comfortable with.
Right. And picture yourself there living it,
Right.
walking your dog, maybe on a designated paved path, attending a community meeting with earplugs just in case.
Yeah, navigating those social dynamics.
Exactly. Ask yourself, could I really see myself thriving here, quirks and all? Because at the end of the day, the best place to call home is the one where you can truly be yourself.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Heritage Ranch. Hopefully this gives you a more informed perspective as you continue your search. Remember, knowledge is power, and a little healthy skepticism never hurts.